You bit the card game so everyone can get an idea. So first off, this is the game. There's 158 cards. This is the box it will come in, which is shaped a little bit like a brick, and you can use it to hurt your enemies.
Or build a house out of it.
Or you could build a house. I would not recommend building a house out of it. Or if you, well, yeah. Give it a try. Let us know how it works out. In the game, there are a few different types of cards. The first one that you're going to generally hand out are your quick reference cards. They have a little heart on the back of them, and on here it indicates your health of your leader that you're going to be playing as. It also tells you the different factions that are in the game and some of the other icons that you'll see, so you can quickly reference that whenever you're forgetful, or if you're just like me and just have no idea even though you designed the game. The main thing you're going to get in the game is everyone's going to get a leader. There are 7 leaders in the game. You will randomly be assigned one, and there are 3 important parts on every leader card. One thing is their health, or their max health. Second is their max posse size. And the third is their special ability. So each leader has their own unique special ability that comes into play and can be used for different strategies on winning the game. How do you win the game? You have to get 3 of these. These are Chivos. And you get those by doing random fun stuff in the game. So for example, one of the Chivos that you may draw is Kill Frenzy, in which you have to kill 3 opposing players in 1 turn. All the actions and the Chivos are done usually resolved within 1 turn, so you kind of strategize how you're going to play each turn in order to get them. Everyone's going to get 2 private Chivos, meaning you're going to get 2 handed to you face down that are yours for the whole game. When you get one, you trade it in for a new one. And then there are going to be public Chivos. There are going to be as many players as there are plus 1 public Chivos. And those are going to be for everyone to go for. So if one of them is to horribly maim one of the players playing at the table and it's a public, then everyone is gunning for that person, or they're just gunning for that person anyway all the time. So in the main deck there are 2 types of cards. There are action cards, which are red and also have all caps and exclamation points, because everyone knows that all caps is cruise control to awesome. And then there are posse cards. So posse cards are your actual helpers. They give you special abilities, and they give you basically a meat shield between you and horrible death. So each posse card has the same kind of elements as a leader does. Has 2 special, has an icon that enables melee, an icon that gives you extra range, and a special ability, which is only active the turn after you play it. So if you play this guy this turn, he's only going to be active your next turn. As for the action cards, there are 10. So the main one that you're going to be seeing a lot of is Attack. That's going to give you the ability to attack one of the other players on the table within range. So range by default is 1 to whoever is sitting next to you, 2 for whoever's ever an extra seat away from you, and then it goes on and on. So if you're by default you're at a range of 1 and you don't have any range modifiers, you can only attack the people that are sat next to you. And you can only play 1 attack per turn unless you have a special ability that stops you from doing that. Dodge, which you can use to dodge attacks. Loot, which is a special card where you draw as many cards as there are people, and you get to pick from that whole lot and hand it around to your left, so everyone gets a card and the last person gets whatever's left over. Bit, which you can play to instantly kill someone's posse. They cannot dodge this. They are bit by a zombie and they go into the graveyard, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Got Your Back, which if a posse that you didn't kill and isn't yours is actually sent to the graveyard, you can play Got Your Back to rescue them from actually being killed. Quarantine, which is basically lose your turn card. You play that in front of someone. They have to draw a card at the start of their turn. If it's a certain faction, which is Pharmaceutical, they're out of quarantine. If not, they lose that turn. Heal, which you can use to restore leader health. Melee, which you can use to punch someone in and around the facial area. You can use as many of these as you want per turn, versus attack where you can only use it once, but you need to have a posse card that has the melee enabler that I talked about a little bit earlier. Traitor, which you can use to steal any posse that's in play right now. And zombies. So whenever a posse is killed, it goes into the graveyard. It doesn't go into the discard pile. At some point, someone can play this card, and all of the posse in the graveyard are now zombies. And they come to life and they attack everybody at the table, including the person that plays zombies. but it's in sequence, and the person that summoned the zombies gets to choose what posse card they're attacking on the table. So they go in order all around until all the zombies have either been killed, dodged, meleeed, or they have actually taken damage. And it goes round until all the zombies are dead. So that's the game. We're gonna play a real quick round so you can kind of see how it's working, but those are the kind of the guts of what you're seeing. Most of the cards you're gonna play with are in the main deck, which has the bit backing on it, and that's gonna be the mix of the action cards and the posse cards. Alright, so we're gonna do a quick demo of the game. So as mentioned before, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna hang up a quick reference card so everyone knows what's going on. Usually, even if you know what the game's all about, it's a good way to keep track of your health. There's a good health counter on there. So use that, and the thing you're going to keep track of your health is, of course, your leaders. So we'll just shuffle these up, and we'll just spread them out, and everyone can just grab one. I got Pork Chop. Unfortunately, you got Phragmites, and
I've got Tim.
Tim and Cthulhu. So each of the leaders are unique, and they have their own unique abilities. So Phragmites that Pork Chop has can play 2 attack cards in one turn, whereas normally everyone can play 1. I have Pork Chop, so I can draw 3 cards at the start of my turn instead of 2. And
so I've got Tim and Cthulhu. So their ability is it's an interesting one. It actually allows you to change the factions on the cards that you're playing. So at the start of your turn, you can choose a faction to substitute one other faction with. So we've got your 4 factions here. You've got Ura, Fez, Obscuro, and Pharmaceutical. At the start of my turn, I could say all my Ura cards that I played that turn are actually Fez cards instead.
yeah, if you want to simplify away, you think the factions are like suits in a deck. So if you're saying, well, I only can do something if I draw all hearts this turn, well, in my turn now, diamonds are now hearts. So you can kind of make those up as you go along. So start the game off, everyone's going to get 4 cards.
4 cards.
4 cards. See, I'm also going to hand out the Chivos. So the Chivos, everyone's going to get 2 of. So these you wouldn't generally show to everyone because you want to keep those to yourself. Because we have 3 people playing, because Pork Chop's helping out here, we're going to play 4 Chivos. So as many players as there are plus 1 face up. So we'll talk a little bit about what Chivos are on the table right now. Paramilitary, which is have 3 posse that are members of Ura in front of you. Just to note, some of these may change in the final version. I think some of the numbers are changing based on playtest sessions. And so the next one is play 3 Ura cards in one turn, so lots of Ura stuff. This one's the Gordie Howe hat trick, which is play 1 attack card, play 1 melee card, and 1 heal card in one turn. And then Selfie, which is save yourself from being horribly maimed. So if someone's attacking you and you have no health left, you play a heal card to save yourself from being horribly maimed, which is basically losing all your health. Then you get that Chivo. If you die in the game, you die in real life. No, if you actually lose all your health in the game, you're not out. You lose a Chivo if you have one. If you don't have a Chivo, you lose 2 cards, but you get all your health back. So you're not really dead, you're horribly maimed is the term we use in the game. So start everyone's turn off, you get to draw 2 cards, but to determine turn order, the official rule is you determine who among the group has the largest hat collection. So I think in this case, Ian, you have the largest hat collection. So
I made that rule because I always like going first.
That's right. So drawing 2 cards to start your turn.
Yeah. Okay. So because I'm just starting my turn, I'm going to use my leader's ability. So let me see if there's any Chivos that I want. And so it won't do me much good, but what I'm going to do is, just for the sake of it, I'm going to, for my turn, all the Obscuro cards, so that's the indigo black-hatted gentleman, are going to be Ura, so the green shield. So generally what you want to do is you want to start playing some of your posse cards, right? So I've got here my little crony. His special ability is that I can discard cards out of my hands to perform melee attacks. So
when you play them, generally you're going to play them sideways, because as I mentioned in the first video, there is sleeping sickness for those who play Magic. Basically, they're not active; those powers aren't active until the next time you play your turn. So at first, that melee enabler that My Little Crony has is actually active, and he still can block you from being attacked because you have to attack Posse before you attack someone's leader directly. But his special ability that Ian mentioned is not active until your next turn.
Right. So also because I've used this ability, once I've played him, even though he's the purple, the Obscuro,
He's actually counting as Ura.
he's actually counting as Ura for the turn, which actually might work out for me. So I'm also going to play another Posse card because there's no limit to the number you can play during your turn.
You can only play the only limit you can play is you can only have a maximum amount as your leader card indicates.
So in my particular case, it happens to be 3.
3.
So I'm going to play Death Merchant of Venice, also sideways.
So his special ability is that it reduces the range required to attack or melee all other players by 1. So whereas by default melee you can only ever hit someone at a range of 1, now you can hit it at a range of 2.
Right. And so to round out my turn, because you've been talking so much smack about me losing,
Yeah!
I'm going to play a melee card.
I'm gonna get punched in the
So
face.
I can play that card because my Little Crony does have the blue
Melee.
fist symbol, which is the melee enabler. And he is within 1 range of me.
That's right.
So I can play a melee card against him.
That's right. So I'm gonna lose 1 health because I have no way of dodging that because my cards do not give me any way of dodging it. And because Ian has played 3 Ura cards in 1 turn, with this one which he already declared was Ura at the start of his turn because of his special ability, and this one here, he gets Chivo.
That's my Chivo.
So he has a Chivo now and is 1 bit closer to actually winning the game. So when a Chivo is played, you can dump it in here to fill the spot. So they're always being replenished. One thing to make note of, there are Chivos to horribly maim any of the leader cards. You may see it as this person must die. If that person is not in play at the time, just take that card out and replace it with a fresh one. So you can just put that one aside. So if we didn't have Pork Chop in the actual game and I got Pork Chop must die, you could just toss that card away in the garbage and buy a brand new copy of Bit.
Right. So
Don't do that.
I'm going to know that comment. So that's pretty much the end of my turn. So to round it out, I'm going to do what you have to do before the end of your turn is just to make sure you have less than the maximum allowed number of cards in your hand. So that number is 5. So basically every player before they can end their turn, if you have more than 5 cards in your hand, you have to discard enough cards to go down to 5.
Yeah.
My particular case, I only have 3 right now, so I'm fine.
Yeah. So generally you're going to play, like, even if you have 7 or 10 in your hand at any given time, it's okay as long as it's not the end of your turn. At the end of your turn is when you have to do the hand size check. So we'll play Pork Chop now. So he's going to draw us 2 cards, and I'm going to play as Pork Chop because he's not actually alive.
That's what you think.
That's what I think. I'm going to stick to this thing. So he's probably going to hurt me because that's his thing. So he's got a lot of cards in here that are actually fantastic, and I wish I could play them myself. So first thing he's going to do is he's going to play his Posse. So he's going to play Gato Mari. So Gato Mari, you can pick up, if someone has to discard cards at the end of your turn, you can pick up 1 from every player that discards. Pick up garbage. And then he's gonna run Traitor on My Little Crony. So he's gonna steal My Little Crony away from Ian and move him into his spot. And then he's just gonna start laying down attacks on me. So he's attacking me, and I'm now dead. I have been horribly maimed. So I have to discard 2 cards. Because Pork Chop's a jerk.
Yeah, so ordinarily when you're horribly maimed, if you have a previously earned Chivo like I have, like say in the instance if I was maimed instead, I'd have to discard this card.
But because I don't have any Chivos to give up, I have to just get rid of 2 cards. So because I got rid of 2 Posse cards, they go into the graveyard by default. They don't go into the discard pile, so they can come back as zombies later. So now Pork Chop is going to continue his horrible assault of me because he can. He's going to attack me. And then I'm going to go down to 1 health. And then he's going to melee me because now he has a melee enabler. And I'm going to be horribly maimed again and lose 2 additional cards. And he didn't do that for any particular Chivo. He just likes doing it because Pork Chop hates me in real life. So that is his turn. He has horribly maimed me twice and left me with no cards. So I will start my turn now. I'm going to get you both. So I draw 3 cards because I am Pork Chop and I can cheat. So the first card I'm going to play...
So his character, his leader card is Pork Chop.
Yes, my leader card is Pork Chop.
Not to say that
I'm
he
not
actually
actually is Pork Chop. That is Pork Chop. Jerk monkey. And so I'm gonna play Chris Forearms, which is his ability lets me counter melee cards with melee cards. I'm gonna lay down Dr. Montana Grant, who I can use attack cards to counter melee cards, and then I'm gonna play the Bread Merchant, who I can increases my max hand size by 1, and I can also ditch, which means to voluntarily put in the graveyard to draw 2 additional cards. So now it's Ian's turn.
Okay. I'm gonna draw my 2 cards. Right, and now since I've played Death Merchant Events the previous turn, I'm gonna turn him right size forward, right size up, just to indicate that he's now active. Now I'm able to use his text ability here, his posse ability.
So now he sees everyone in a range reduced by 1 as a result of that.
Right, not too useful here in this context, but in general it's a pretty good card. Take a look at some of the Chivos that are out there.
Generally, one of the strategy things is when you're not playing, you want to take a look at the Chivos on the table and what you have in your hand so you can plan out your next turn. So you can see, well, maybe I want to be able to play I have enough posse to get this one, which is a hat trick, which is have 3 posse with hats in play. So you can see that he already has 1. Or maybe you want to think about getting posse ready that have Oorah for the paramilitary. So you're trying to strategize for your next turn.
So I'm going to do something kind of crafty. I'm once again going to use Tim's power. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to substitute all of my Pharmaceuticville cards. So the blue syringe symbol. Substitute those for Oorah. Right? So I'm going to play Albert Whiskers here, who is ordinarily a Pharmaceuticville character. You can see the blue syringe. But now he's for the turn considered Oorah. So
he can play attack cards as dodge cards.
Right? And then I'm going to play Cat the Bounty Hunter, which is already in Oorah card. For her. And that means I have 3 posse in play that are members of Oorah.
So Ian is beating,
so I'm cleaning up.
Just completely destroying us right now. And the next Chivo that came up is Administer Cure, which is play Quarantine and then attack someone when they're in quarantine. Well, that's just a quick demo of how the game goes. So you can see things can move very quickly. You can lose lots of posse very quickly. You can get lots of Chivos very quickly. The game changes depending on what Chivos come up. And since there are a lot of unique ones, every single one's different, you're going to see a lot of things come up. This is not necessarily the final version of some of these cards. Some of them will change in the very final copy that you'll see, but for the most part what you're seeing is what you get. The art's all done, the design's all done, the game's been play tested and balanced, the box is done, we're ready to go. So please let us know if you have any questions at all, and we'll be putting notes and updates if we're going to be around you doing some playtest sessions while the Kickstarter is going on. Thanks very much.